Let's go to our next question, if we may, please. Should there be, this is open to all of us, more autonomy in the classroom that would allow teachers more flexibility to adjust curriculum to meet the needs of their students as they vary from year to year? Because as we well know, any one of us can make up a set of plans and learn a lesson that works very well with the 2009-10 student, but may not work for the 2010-11 student. So does anyone have a comment they're willing to share in response to that question? I mean, myself, I'm always kind of prejudiced toward the optimal autonomy to the student, to the teacher. That's my bias.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. I think like a lot of things, I think you look at, and I think both Caitlin and Ms. Forsstrom brought it up already. It's an interesting place because we talk about standardization, and it means something here very different than it means around the world. When you look at places that have a national standardized curriculum, here we have 50 states, and then you even brought up, especially in New England, where it's very provincial. We don't want to give up. We don't want to give up our individual rights. It makes for some interesting dialogue. I think it's very important for schools and departments within schools to look at the standards that the state has set, and to be able to identify the power standards within there. And the schools need to be able to adjust those power standards. We said, and I know Caitlin said this already, there's certain things that schools should look at, and there's certain information that kids should learn and that they need to learn. And those should be taught. How it's done, we talk about autonomy and flexibility with teachers. It should be the teacher's prerogative. What's the student's strengths? Our teachers are trained. They've gone through extensive training on all kinds of different educational research. And what is the best way to meet the needs of those students? I think like a lot of things in American education, we need to find a happy medium. Years ago, there was, what's the best approach to reading? Is it phonics? Is it whole language? And I think we've learned that it's a balanced approach. I think in some of the literature that we were able to share, we looked at this kind of the same similar type thing. Is a standardized curriculum the best? Well, people like John Holt would say, no, absolutely not. Kids should have the chance to choose. Whereas Mortimer Adler would say, strict standardization is great because kids aren't at the level where they can make the decision to know what's good for them and what's not. And I think, you look at like Robert Marzano most recently, and he's kind of trying to find that happy medium. And I think you look at what we do at Masuk, and it's kind of symbolic of that. You look at a kid when they come in, there's very little room in a kid's schedule when they enter Masuk. 9th grade, you're taking English, math, science, social studies, PE and health, a world language, and you're eating lunch, and maybe have a study hall or whatever. But your schedule opens up as time progresses, and I think we're kind of seeing that. You need that middle approach. There's certain things that kids need to be able to know and to understand and to be able to do, but as they get older, they need to have that flexibility to choose what would also interest them as well.
I always attached exactly what you referred to in terms of, allowing some of that autonomy, because I associate that with being a professional, and I think it opens the door for creativity. And for me, one of the biggest issues that I'm interested in is creating an environment where teachers can have more collegial time to either share it in co-teaching a class, get an opportunity to meet more often. I've had the opportunity to speak in Mrs. Forsstrom's class. It's been pretty exciting for me. I think these are things that give enrichment and excitement to the school experience.
Absolutely.
But that would be my disposition. John, Caitlin, any thoughts on your part that you'd like to put in?
Going off of what Mr. Copps has said about the students' needs, it brings us up with another question. Should students be allowed to work at their own pace as long as they meet state requirements by the end of each year? And I believe that it would be a good idea. I'm taking a virtual high school class where throughout the week you can work at your own pace, do whatever work you like, but at the end of the week you're expected to have a certain amount of work turned in. And I think it's great because I think college is a lot more like that. There's not a set schedule. The student will have to take responsibility and get the work done in their own time, and but they do have their responsibilities to live up to. So I think that would be a great idea to help students grow and progress and become responsible, mature adults.
As a peer, John, do you find yourself in agreement?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with what Caitlin said, because like in my AP history class, when we go to take the AP test, they said that you only get 40 seconds to do each question, each multiple choice. So when we go into the classroom to take a test, like she's doing the multiplication of how many minutes we get, and we're not able to work at our own pace because So we're being pressured to go faster than we would be able to.
So you think that's actually creating some kind of obstruction, your own performance abilities and your thought processing? I can certainly see that point of view. Any response on your thoughts?
I think that's a very interesting question because I teach all different levels of juniors this year, and they certainly will work at their own pace, even within each level. I think if we could figure out a way to work it, would be fantastic, because you're right, you do go off to college and it's a different world, and you're not given homework each night that gets checked the next day, and the cycle continues. It might be very beneficial. I don't know how many could handle it.
Well, my goal would be that we want to see as many as possible who can do so.
Right.
Because that also nurtures their individuality, and that's another one of my biases. One of the things we should be nurturing is the individuality of our students. So, anyone have a closing comment they wish to share?
I think this what Caitlin's bringing up is students working at their own pace. I think it could be a great topic for a future Masuk report. I know it's a big issue right now in the elementary schools with the new standards-based report cards at that level, and that's kind of exactly what it's addressing. Here's the standards that the kids need to have. It's not some people are nervous because kids aren't getting A, B, C's, and D's, and it's a little different way of looking at kids. But it's saying, hey, listen, this is what you need to know and be able to do. Let's see where you are, and it's a continuum. It's not a, hey, it needs to be done at this point. Let's just get there by the end.
Well, I think I have to agree with you, and I think, Caitlin, you may have just provided us for a future show, so we'll probably have to capture you as one of our panelists again. Well, on that thought, we will have to close our discussion. I want to thank our guests, Mrs. Forstrom, Mr. Kabza, John, Caitlin, for sharing in this discussion on standardized curriculum and standardized testing. I speak for all of us when I say that we hope you found our discussion interesting and useful. We look forward to having you join us for our next roundtable. Good day.